Presenter is Rebecca Grube, University of Kansas Medical Center. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. All right, so that's our title. You all know what that is. Just a little bit about me before I start. I was in education. I was a teacher for 7 years, and then I was a counselor, high school counselor, and an assessment coordinator for 9 years. And I put that in red because that became a lot of project work. And as such, my husband came home and he said, I had this spreadsheet, and he goes, you're doing a lot of project management work. You need Microsoft Project. And I didn't know what that was. And I'm like, first of all, project manager, everybody's a project manager. He goes, no, real. It's like, it's a job. What? Right? So I put that in red because that was kind of my turning point. And I looked online. Thanks. I looked online for jobs at KU just to see what would happen. And sure enough, they had, it was called a project manager, but it was really a product owner at the place that designs the online state assessment platform. So they were like, oh, you've done this before? And I'm like, oh, I really want to do this. So it was a perfect match. And I was there for a year, and it was in Agile. And then I was an IT project manager at KU for 2 years. And I've been a director at KU Med for 1 year in the project management office. So that's a little bit. So coming up, right, there's some things I want to make sure I cover today. I want to identify problems that arise from having decentralized project management. And what I mean by that is, how many of you have decentralized IT in any way? You've got, right, people that work in pockets and shadow systems, and it's not centralized, right? Well, it's the same with PM project management. You've got people managing projects everywhere. And if you'll remember from the keynote, it's kind of shifted to now every project is an IT project, right? I can't think of very many projects that don't include technology. So it's really important that we have the right people in the room. So that's kind of where my base came from. I'm going to talk about how we've attempted to solve that at KU Med. Maybe some things that you can do, maybe some takeaways, and then lessons that we've learned along the way. All right. Okay, so what is project management, and who needs a PMO anyway, right? So lots of people at KU Med, I realized, don't even know that we have a PMO, right? When I first got there, lots of people didn't even know. So they've hired their own project coordinators or project managers or program managers, and all of these people are doing the same sorts of things that we do. So the first thing I thought was, we got to get this advertised more. So we've worked on that quite a bit. And then they find out, but they don't really know, why does that matter, right? Well, we know that that's what you do, but we're good. Well, you're good until you've purchased that vendor-hosted product that you can't integrate with something because you don't know how to do that, right? You don't know how to put it behind single sign-on. So after you've purchased it, you spent all this money, then you come to IT, you're like, hey, I think we need some help. And then we find out security says, yeah, you can't use that. That's not PCI compliant, it's not, whatever the case is. So we got to make sure that they know ahead of time, contact us in the beginning rather than in the middle or the end. And then there's the problem, no one likes to wait, right? So they're like, wait a minute, what do you mean you have 60 projects already? I need it now. So then they keep hiring their own project managers, right? They don't want to work with the PMO. And that's not one I can solve very easily, except for we just don't say no very often. So we have 60 projects at a time, and it ebbs and flows, and sometimes it's challenging. All right, so do I want to centralize or do I not? I've made a case, right, that we should have an ePMO, enterprise project management, where we could bring all these people together and at least have some standards amongst us, right? Maybe they all still work for the same departments. I don't really care about that. I just would like them to have some standards, and to know that the security group has to be brought in early, and to know that your identity management group has to be consulted. And right now it's getting better, but we're not there yet. People are always trying to reinvent the wheel, right? Wouldn't it be great if nobody had to figure out how to do these processes, if nobody had to look up every time who to talk to? Like if they just knew what the process was because somebody else already did it, well, that's what we've done. We're trying to share that out right now. You've always got people who know some pieces of the process, but they don't know all of them, right? Because that's not their main job, right? Most of these project managers have like operational day-to-day things that they're doing, and they're managing these projects on the side. So you can't expect them to know everything. And most of the time they're not in IT, right? Because in IT, we would have them in the PMO. So then there's that technology thing that they don't know much about. And like I said, they have real jobs too, right? So project management is sort of and I heard someone say the other day that they promoted someone to be a project manager in their department. And I was like, well, I appreciate that you value it enough to think that it's a promotion, but that's another story. So we've got that. So what kind of skills? I actually had a poll everywhere here to do, but we're a small group, so let's just say them out loud. What sorts of skills do you think project managers have to have in order to be successful, to successfully manage projects? Time management, multitasking, detail-oriented, persistence for sure. Communications, patience, soft skills. I heard organization, resource knowledge. Oh, that's a big one, right? And soft skills, it's my number one, right? And it's something that you can't really measure it very well. You just know when it's not there, right? So that's one of those things that I think we take for granted, but that's really important in our department. So hopefully I caught some of those here. Leadership skills to bring insight to project team meetings, because we're gonna know a lot. I point here, by the way, this is Kathy, she's my project manager, and this is Jessica, she's my business analyst. So we're a small team of 3. But we know a lot about what projects are going on, and so we know how some are connected, and we know, oh, you're wanting X, well, we just implemented X with this group over here, so now we know what will work, what won't work. Maybe you can just get some licenses with them. Let's see if that'll work for you. But nobody else is going to know that, right? No one that people are going to interface with very often are going to know that. Soft skills, right? To facilitate that project success. There's always stressful situations, right? Has anyone ever had a project that was just perfect with no stress whatsoever? Communication skills to facilitate understanding, right? That's another thing. Like I have a meeting with an implementation team meeting, then I've got a steering committee meeting, and then we have a governance meeting. In the governance meeting, we have the vice chancellor, we have like the CEO of the hospital. They don't have any idea what some of these difficult situations are that we're dealing with, because they don't really know the impact. And we don't have time in a 45-minute meeting twice a month to really explain all of it to them. So that's when you have to have someone like me who can say, okay, what this really means is when somebody does blah, it's going to cause a problem. Oh, okay, now I understand, but not tech speak, right? Because they don't get that, and they don't have the time to know it, and they don't want to, right? They're up here for a reason. Bring me the really important stuff. Knowing when and how to escalate, that's an important one, because things can just fester and just go and get nowhere, except worse. It usually gets worse. Organization skills to keep the project on track. I think somebody said that. Attention to details, understanding how those fit together. And smoke herding skills, so keeping the project team focused and addressing those competing priorities. Okay. All right, so what did I do? How did I figure out who these other project managers were across the campus? So I worked with human resources. And I'm sure that all of you have worked with human resources before, right? So you probably already have somebody that you can say, hey, how can I get a list of these people that have project or program in their state or working title? it really was an email, and I had it by the end of the day. So the working titles, we have 1 project manager and 5 program managers. It's the state titles that really hang us up. We have 55 project managers and 38 program managers. And I will say that when you're thinking about project management, you've got program management above that. People don't really think about program management the way project managers do. So it's not always necessarily relevant, right? When somebody's a program manager, that doesn't necessarily mean PMO stuff. That means something totally different. And I don't really care about them, but I invited them anyway. And so I had a list of 99 people. That was 99 if you added those up. This was before Christmas. Do I want to call all these? No, I don't want to call these people. I don't want to email these people. They're not going to check their email anyway. It's right before Christmas. How am I going to move forward, right? So I belabored that for a while. And I talked to quite a few people trying to get their opinion of what would be the best way. And I talked to, I'm trying to get this to click. Give me 1 second. We're having technical difficulties. All right. So I talked to a lot of people. I talked to my boss. I talked to the colleagues that I had in IT and in other departments that I've met along the way. Several current decentralized project managers. So people I knew had these titles or these roles, right? To see what they thought. No, it doesn't like it. Okay. I talked to my vice chancellor, and I talked to our OIO, and OIO stands for Organizational Improvement Office. So we have an office dedicated just to organizational improvement, process improvement, those sort of things. So I talked to them because I knew they would have some really good ideas of how to corral this group of people. 99 people is a lot, right? And then I thought, everybody likes to link things to strategic goals, especially everybody on that list in particular like that. So I did. I linked it to some of our strategic goals, talking about collaboration, talking about integration, interoperability between departments. So I linked it to those. And then suddenly everybody thought, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, I know. So to get as much buy-in and support as possible, I emailed all of the people's superior, like the person right above them, the manager, supervisor, whoever, and explained to them what it was that I was wanting to do. We'll get to that in 1 minute. And what the purpose was, and kind of to gauge some interest. Do you guys think this is interesting? I only had 6 of them reply that they didn't think it was appropriate. And most of those were program managers, those program managers that really aren't project related. It's something different. So that made sense to me. I don't know. Okay, so we had our first Project Management Academy session, and we had just a little bit over 50% attend. We had 55 people, either on the phone or in person. And what we did was we came together for an hour over lunch, like from noon to 1, and we just talked about what sorts of struggles people were having, what sorts of tips we could help provide. And it was really kind of a two-prong approach, right? I wanted them to know, first of all, that we're here, right? That we're here to help them, and to ask them to include us before they get too far into the weeds with any technology project, which all of them are. But then it's also to help them, right? To share our knowledge and to learn from them what they know. So we're all it's kind of a symbiotic relationship that we have. After asking them how often they wanted to meet, I figured it would be like quarterly, maybe twice a year, but it's every other month. So that was surprising. That's been good. And since our first meeting, we've had more than 20 others request to join, just from hearing it and, I don't know, different presentations, word of mouth of other people, just different ways. That wasn't really intended. Okay, so there's our 121 participants now. And so the red is the originally identified people. The new requests are the blue. And then how many people asked to be removed or left, right? Because they transferred or they quit or whatever. So we've got quite a few people. So I just wasn't quite sure how to get it started. And so I just decided, just do it. Just quit thinking about it. You're spending too much time thinking about it. Just put together a presentation and see what comes of it, right? So I created a project site, imagine that, and a distribution list, and a discussion board. Do you guys have Yammer? Do people have Yammer? Really? That's interesting. Okay. So we created a Yammer. And then I just asked the group, right? What is it that you want to learn about? What are you most interested in? I've toyed with some ideas, like maybe adding the polls on emails. I haven't done that yet, but that's probably coming next. But people have been pretty vocal about what they're interested in. And right now, the next thing they want to talk about are tools, like project management tools. Now, this is the problem with having decentralized project management. We have ServiceNow, and we have, currently, we in IT, a lot of us have Office 365. But nobody else does, really. So they can't use ServiceNow because they'd have to have a license. That's expensive. Nobody wants to pay that. We don't have Office 365 rolled out yet, and it's a while away. So I can't say, in a month or even a year that you'll have it, because I don't think we will. I know your face is exactly how I feel every day. It's my project. It's difficult. So anyway, I think that you just have to get started, right? The first thing is find out who these people are. Start making a list. When you're talking to people, when you're listening to people talk about others who are coordinating things with you, that's a big coordinating. What does that mean, right? That probably means you're doing some sort of project work. So find out who those people are. Make some notes. I'm just gonna click, all right. Oh, so here are some of our topics that that I've proposed, right, to the group and to see what their feedback is. Are you really not seeing all of my things until I click through it? Well, I'm going to provide this so you'll have it. How is a project defined? Right? People don't really even know that. What do you mean by project? I didn't know that, so I understand what that feels like. Project terminology. What do all those words mean? Deliverables. What does that mean? Right? That's just some dumb PM speak. But once they figure out what it means, then they can speak the language. Project deliverables. There you go. Share your templates. Project constraints. Think about time, cost, and scope and everything. That's always going to be your constraint. How are projects requested? That was something we didn't have when I got here. There was no intake process, but we developed one, but it uses ServiceNow. So see, these decentralized folk, they can't use that. So I don't know how they do it. So they're going to have to help each other, but bringing them all together allows them to do that, right? What are the typical steps involved in project management? So share your processes and that kind of thing. What are requirements and why are they important? And side note, I had a lady who was project managing something, and when we were talking about requirements, she didn't want to let anyone handle it. And it was purchasing a product, a vendor hosted product, and it has to have external people using it. So right there you can see, okay, security's gonna not like this at all. Okay, so how are we gonna do that? I think that you probably need a project manager. Nope, I want to project manage it. Okay, so who's gonna gather your requirements? My what? Okay, that means you probably need a business analyst. And so in talking back and forth, she finally realized, oh yeah, we probably do need that person. So I offered Jessica, and she went to all of those painful meetings as just a BA from the PMO. So they didn't have a PM, they did it themselves, but they did use Jessica. And that was helpful because she can bridge some of those gaps in understanding and tech speak better than any of them could have. She knew the questions to ask that they hadn't even thought of. A lot of questions they didn't know the answers to, and you had to do a lot of research behind the scenes. So that was good. It was good for us, not maybe so much for Jessica. Oh, what's the best way to communicate? So like I've been documenting a list of different paths, different opportunities to communicate things. And I've already got that list, right? So that's something I can easily provide, and I've already put that on the site so they can all get to that. Strategies, tips, and tools of the trade. The importance of customer relations and soft skills in project management. I think one of the most important soft skills is that you do what you say you're going to do. Yeah, right? You might not get it right. You might have said, yeah, I'll talk to someone for you and find out. It might be that you talk to them and you don't find out, right? It just is more questions than answers, but at least you can let them know that I did follow up and this is what we learned. And that will help the project move along, and it'll provide more trust in that relationship, right? And so they're gonna wanna come to you to take care of all that stuff because nobody wants to do that. I mean, most people don't. How many of you are project managers? Right, correct. Good question. And do these sound like familiar things? Do these sound like problems that you have at your place of business as well? Right, okay. And they come to you too late? Yeah, okay, good. Effective meeting facilitation standards. One of the things I learned that I thought was really interesting and that I've held on to, and I think I've shared it, I hope I have, but not to bring food to the meetings. You don't have to bribe these people to come to this. It's not your meeting, right? It's their meeting, it's their project. You're not there to entertain them or feed them or anything like that. So those sorts of things, I don't think that anybody really ever tells you that, right? When you start out, that seems like a no-brainer, or maybe it doesn't, right? And you think, oh, I'm just gonna always bring, I know we're meeting at Friday at 4 o'clock, but I'm gonna bring cookies. No, if that's the only time their calendar allows, that's when they have to meet, right? And if they don't wanna meet, then they can say, well, let's just cancel it and meet next week. Okay, but I'm not making them cookies. That's not my job. Professional development opportunities. So I've been posting a lot on Yammer about, I think I even put this on our Yammer site. Every free or for pay professional development opportunity that's nearby. We have a lot of PMI conferences and that sort of thing that I've put on there. Some free, some not. And then different project processes. So all of your RFP, all of your purchase and implementation and custom development, all of those are slightly different, right? So sharing those with them is pretty helpful. I think, I hope. That's what I hope anyway. Oh, so I have my PMP, and I got it a couple of years ago. And, I don't know how many of you, does anyone in here have it? And you remember that was not an easy feat. And so I put together like a folder full of my template that I used for my application. And I put that in there because I thought, people aren't gonna, when I tell them, make sure that you use the keywords, they're like, what keywords? And what do you mean by that? Well, then you have an opportunity to talk to them about that. But this is an example, right? Books that I used or cases that I had to study from or websites that had free pre-tests or whatever. Just a list of those sort of things so that people have a resource to use, because that's not really an easy thing to get into, especially if you're not in a PMO where that's all you do all day is projects, right? Because most of those people have other jobs. They don't have time to do that. So what other issues do you foresee or do you have that you know of in your areas that I haven't covered? Because maybe we can use them in our project management academy. Yeah, yeah. Right, people who are hesitant, who are like, I don't need anything from them. Right, you're right, it is, and because it's new and it's something. It also, I think, I've tried to put myself in their shoes, it's also a case where I don't want people to know what I don't know. So I'm just going to not come because then I don't have to, but then they're missing out on learning, right? So that's a hurdle that I haven't quite gotten past. I feel like that's why a lot of people either didn't come back for the second one that we had. We had about half the next time show up. Is that right? About half? Yeah. So, yeah. Right. And it's also been an opportunity for when those people contact our IT people directly for them to say, I think this is a project, I think I'm going to redirect you to project management. And then they're not surprised. They're like, oh, yeah, I should have done that. Or, I didn't want you to do that, but I guess that's what you're going to do. Whatever. They redirect it. So we've been pretty fortunate. I think our IT team is really responsive in that. I know Dominic's redirected a lot of tickets that probably aren't incidents, right? They're project requests. So yeah. Yep. So some of our lessons learned. All right. So know your purpose. Now, like I said, I had two purposes, right? One was kind of selfish. I really want them to know that they need to come to us with these projects in the beginning rather than in the middle when they've spent $200,000 and what, I can't use it. Like that's not a good taste in their mouth. And I don't want IT to come across as the difficult ones, right? So we want to make it easier, right? So that was my first purpose. And my second one was to share information between all of us because everyone knows something that we don't know and something different. Okay, communicate in a variety of ways and often. So my Yammer experience, I won't bore you with the details, but it's one of those situations where people have to join it. And I think I have 24 people on it now. Like 24 people have joined it. That's not very many compared to the 121. So I'm trying to slowly get them to join it because otherwise I have to go in and manually enter each one. And I don't have the time to do that right now. So plus I think that if they join it, they're a little more bought into checking it. So I do try to put something on there every week, something that might be useful, something that they can. And I get a lot of comments from the people who are on there, so there is some buy-in. Email, of course. I send out the notes. I send out the agenda a couple of days ahead of time so that they know what we're talking about. That kind of thing. Oh, again, do what you say you're going to do, right? Like if you say you're going to do, don't commit to something that you can't do. But if you say you're going to do something, make sure you get it done. Or at least you let them know that you're in the middle of it. That's another thing, right? Like there was someone who asked me in an email the other day to join the Project Management Academy. And there's a couple of steps I have to do to get them enrolled in everything I want them enrolled in and all the meetings invited and all of that stuff. I just didn't have time to do it. And I had to respond back the next day, look, I'm sorry, I'm definitely going to add you to this. I just didn't have the time. I'm going to do it on Friday. So now I have to do it on Friday, but I also didn't wait until Friday, right? Because that would have been a whole week because they asked me last week. So do it in a timely fashion. Let them know you're working on it. Determine if you'll provide remote access to sessions and know how to operate the system. I'm not an IT person, I'm a project manager, so we always have our IT media tech, right, show up and help Becca get it done because I can't figure it out. Obviously, right? And then follow up, right? Make sure that you follow up on everything that needs to be followed up on because nobody else is doing that. Right? People have their own little jobs in their project and they're like, well, I can't do mine until so-and-so has his done. So it'll just sit there and they'll forget about it and this person doesn't get it done. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. This person doesn't, it impacts everything, right? So follow up and kind of prod every once in a while is helpful. And it's also helpful when you're trying to build this Project Management Academy, right? Follow up with them so they remember, oh yeah, I should probably accept or decline that meeting. I should probably join that Yammer group, whatever. So, are there any questions or comments? Why did some of you come today? I'm wondering if there's any issues that you're trying to work through, or if next time, I'll bring them next time. Yeah. Well, next time that it's in this building, in this room at this time. How about that? Anything else? Anyone else have any particular reason other than just interested? Yeah. Yeah, actually, because KU Med is spread out, right? So there's some people at Fairway, right?
Have the mic.
Oh, yeah,
so
great.
People being recorded will be able to hear your questions.
So your question was, how do you handle the multiple sites, right? So, like I said, we offer the remote access so they can call in and listen. I guess next time we're going to do one where they can call in and listen and talk. Not real excited about that, but we'll see how that goes. I really like in-person meetings, but we'll see. Yeah, that's how we have to do it, right? Because we are spread out. Okay, KU Med, you've got your campus in KCK, and then you've got Westwood, you've got Fairway. We've even got people in, I don't know, Pittsburgh and different places doing different things. So yeah, that is a problem. Yeah, remote access is definitely important. Who do I report to? The CIO. Yeah. Yeah, right in IT.
How did it come about that you have a business analyst also? I believe that they are twins.
You know, shout out to Jackie, who's not here. So your question was, how is the BA in with the PMO? Yeah. Okay. So when I was at KU Lawrence, my director there, Jackie, who's not here today, I wish she was, the BAs were always in-house with the PMs. And that was really my first project management job. So whether it's right or wrong, it's what I'm used to, and that's just what we did. So when I got there, we ended up hiring a BA and bringing one on. And everyone seems to like that.
So do you try to improve the process before you apply the technology every time then?
Right. Oh, and
Okay.
Jessica's really good. Like she likes to, what's the word we use? It's not be nosy, but she likes to she's really good at finding out that process doesn't look like that works quite right. Let's see what would happen if we did this or that. And she's got really good soft skills, so that helps, build that relationship. Yeah, because people want to do stuff the same old way they did in 1954 and with new technology. So they want you to dumb down the technology to fit their dumb process, right? And that's not going to work. So, good point. Yeah.
Has there been any strategic planning to bring in more of the project management to your PMO, or like increasing your office and decreasing the amount of project managers throughout KU Med?
So no, but I did write a proposal and I filled out this document that our vice chancellor wanted. She asked for this. It's a monstrosity, but the current state, the desired state, the current problems, the recommended solutions, different options. It's a huge document for an EPMO. And the funny thing is, I presented that I think in February, right? February, something like that. And a month later, we had a visit from AIM, which, I don't know, some medical school review advisory board of some sort. Every one of them recommended that we have an EPMO. So I think that helped to bolster my argument. And every time I see her, I mention, hey, I wait until there's a good moment, right? And I say, oh, you know what, an EPMO would be really good for that issue right there. And she'll laugh and she'll say, I know, we're working on it. So I don't know where we're at, but yeah, I think everyone's aware that that's a problem.
So I was wondering if you take part in writing federal grants and that sort of thing, and what your role is in helping determine the technologies that you would use to achieve all the objectives that are defined by the grant? Or is it that you just inherit, once people have already committed and they have something to do?
Literally this week, we had a meeting, I think it was last week, with Gartner, and all of the research head honchos, right? And the problem is not just for PMO, but for IT and particularly security, that they commit to these things and that we can't really do it. We don't have a big enough IT shop. And then there's all of the arguments about that should be provided by, that 10 terabytes of storage should just be provided to me because I'm a researcher. And they don't put any kind of funding line items in their grants. Right. So no, I don't help to do that, but we are trying to find a way where we can help review those before they move forward. Because there's a lot of research at KUMC. I mean, I would say a lot of our work involves research, and a lot of headaches come from that area too, because they want to do their job, right? They want to do their research. They don't want to be tied down with security and IT nonsense. They just want to get their job done by whatever means necessary. Right. Yeah. So no, I don't do grants, thank God, but we are trying to review them more.
My question is, for those departments or business offices who don't know about the PMO or that it's even available, how are you marketing to those people? And what if they already have their own PMO? I mean, are you bringing those PMOs like on your team to consolidate, or do they have to just either fire them or wait till they leave in order to kind of circumvent that?
Obviously nothing's happened yet, and I don't have any power or ability to make it happen, but I envision, just my view is that all of the project managers in different areas, those departments would identify. There's no groups, by the way. Most project managers there's just one for the department, so there's no PMO group anywhere. And I don't really care about the line or the dotted line but I think that they should all have some way to report to the PMO so that it's all standardized. That's really the goal. But that they would stay in the same department, right? And they wouldn't lose any of that relationship that they have, and they wouldn't lose any resources. It's just that they might report differently. Does that make sense? Right. So, like I said, I've put together a list of different communication paths because it's not easy. You can send emails all day long, but people don't always read those, right? People don't have time to read all of your emails. And if it's something that they don't have to do, it's a quick delete. So one thing we're planning to do is to we have a Jayhawk break on Tuesday morning. So it's a coffee break, and people love free coffee. You can't believe how many people come there. And so we're going to go there and hand out, flyers or talk to people just to let them know. That's one way, right? Then there's your emails, and there's your Yammer group, and conversations just in the hallway. And then it becomes that word of mouth of all of the people, right? That they start telling people. I can't remember. I think 24 or 21 people have joined since that original one. And that's a pretty big growth from starting in January. So I think it's getting around. It's just our research departments they're not too interested in it. So that's where our biggest hang up is. So it's funny that you mentioned that today. It must be a pain point for a lot of you. Do a lot of you have heavy research? Well, we do, lots of it. And lots of human research. That makes it even murkier. So. Okay, so are there any other questions?
So I have a question back here. So are you a PMO for just the education side of KU Med, or do you also help out with hospital type things? Because I know that it's separate.
They are separate, and the hospital is a for-profit private entity. But we partner more with the hospital than we do with KU Lawrence, which I think is interesting because it would make sense that we would partner more with KU, but we actually partner with the hospital because of those researchers who are also physicians and those teachers in the School of Medicine who are also physicians, right? They just walk back and forth between the buildings, and so we have to do a lot with them. I am the PMO for the university side, and then they have their own PMO, and it's pretty big on the hospital side. Of course, they have a lot more money and a lot more resources, so that makes sense. But yeah, it does make it difficult when you have to work between all these different organizations. Do you guys, is that a problem for anyone else here? Okay. All right, well, there's my contact info. Feel free to email or call or whatever. And I guess these will be available somewhere, right? Yeah.
What's your process for basically prioritizing or deciding which projects you guys are going to work on versus which ones?
No one would ask that question. So we didn't have an intake process, right, when I got there. So that's the first thing we put in place. And with that, of course, comes the review, right? What are these things that people are wanting to do? And there's zero prioritization or governance around any of it. So I did the best I could with what I had to work with. And so every Thursday at 1 o'clock, we have an IT leadership meeting. It's all the directors and the CISO and the CIO. And I just bring to them what the projects are that are being requested. I'm hoping that they will always be able to say, we already have something like that, or we did something like that a few years ago, or I've heard of that, or anything like that, right? So maybe we don't need to do it, or maybe we do need to do that project, right? Whatever the case may be. And usually it's, and finally now it's to the point where we're just first come, first serve. So whatever comes in, we're gonna take it. We've only declined one, and it was for the Student Fitness Center, I think. But just the other day, my boss said, you know, I don't think we can take all of these projects. So you know, coming to roost, right? And I think we're gonna have to put in place some other kind of governance, and I'm looking forward to that change. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with all these other project managers. I haven't really thought through that yet, if that'll impact, but it'll be something I can share anyway.
We have 3 minutes left, so this will be the last question.
Okay.
I guess I was wondering about just trying to classify or categorize your projects in some way that would help you work on the most risky ones, or the ones that are most, you know, interface with more systems, or some criteria that would trigger which ones you would take on.
Right. ServiceNow has a really good built-in component that helps you to prioritize based on the impact and the size of it, and the risk factors. We just haven't put it in place yet. I don't have a lot of interest in that yet, but the busier we get, and the more I have to push back and say, you know, when you tell people I can't work on this until December, you know, things tend to happen. People tend to complain, and it gets up to the highest realm. So it's going to get there. We're just not there yet. We're pretty immature. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.